Thank you guys so much for having me. I got to tell you, it's great to be back. Anything I can do to come back home to Rapid City, South Dakota. You know, I live in Texas now, and I know there's a couple Texans in here. If you're from Texas, can you raise your hand? Like, there's a couple. Texas is great, but it's not South Dakota. It's still great, though. It's still great. And, you know, this whole country's getting greater. I don't know if you've heard. But we're in a comeback mode right now. Don't listen to the mainstream media, because they're the same mainstream media that told you that Hillary was your president right now. So take everything they say with a grain of salt. But I know right now, even though we're so excited about the time that we're in, and it's really a time to seize the opportunity, I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but it's also a difficult time. You know, you watch the news and things are rough around the country, and it tends to be on the coasts and places that aren't where we're from that are experiencing what seems to be the hardest times. But there's three things, and I open every speech with this, three things that always make me feel a little better, and I'd like you to remember them too before we get into the speech tonight. Kind of my little Tommy's final thoughts for the night, three things that always make me feel better. When things seem like they're really dim and the world seems like it's falling apart and North Korea is going crazy and Iran's going crazy and CNN is going crazy, three things I always remind myself. First and foremost, and this is number one for a reason, we live in the greatest nation on the face of the earth, despite what everyone says. We really do. We can be gathered here today to talk about what we're talking about because we live in the greatest nation on the face of the earth. So that's number one. So every day that you wake up and you live here, you're truly blessed. No matter how hard things might get, no matter how dim the light might seem, you live in the greatest nation on the face of the earth. So we're blessed. We all are. And there's 2 and 3, and I got to tell you, I go back and forth which one is more important, and I think I finally settled the score. But number 2 is the President of the United States is Donald J. Trump. So it's a good one. And this is number 3, and it's just slightly more important than number 2, just a little bit, and that's that Hillary Rodham Clinton is not the President of the United States. And I apologize if you're here and you're a member of the general public and you happen to be a Democrat, or if you're a farmer or a rancher and you happen to be a Democrat. I apologize if that offended you, but now you know how we feel when we watch ABC, NBC, CNN, Disney Channel, ESPN, BET, E! News, I mean, HGTV, name them off. Now you know how we feel. So the score has been settled. I didn't come here to talk about the media tonight because the media talks about themselves quite enough. I came here for quite a different reason. And folks, we've seen a lot of protests and marches and ruckus lately, but I want to remind you guys of the most important march that we saw, and that was in the voting booth on November 8th, 2016, and that was our march of marches, and we made our voices known, we made our voices heard. And we elected President Donald J. Trump to be our president. Now, love him or hate him, that's not really what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about what Donald J. Trump campaigned on, and I think it's important to everyone in this room, and that's the forgotten American. And the forgotten American, they work in steel mills, they work in coal mines, they work in factories, they work all across this country, but they're also farmers and they're ranchers, and that's the forgotten American that even the forgotten Americans sometimes forget about, but no longer, because we remember you. This president remembers you, I remember you, and that's what we're all here for tonight. And contrary to popular belief on both the left and the right, 2017 and 2018 and 2019 and 2020, it's not just about a conservative resurgence. It's about a hardworking, God-fearing, nation-loving, take-no-crap American people resurgence, and that's why I'm here tonight. Because the forgotten American really lives in every city, and many of them right here in South Dakota and across America's heartland. Like I said, they work in coal mines, they work in steel mills, oil fields, the factories. But what about another breed of Americans? That would be our cattlemen, our farmers, our ranchers. What about them? You're sitting with them tonight. Many of you are them, your family members. You are the forgotten American. You are our cattlemen. You're independent cattlemen. And America doesn't know enough of you, but they're about to. We're so blessed to be surrounded by so many of you tonight. I truly am. I mean, I come from, both sides of my family come from ranching backgrounds, so I was raised in this, but it's so nice to be surrounded by you tonight, I gotta tell you. The light doesn't shine on you, on these forgotten Americans, because you don't really ask for it. But I got to tell you, many of you in this room have been drop-kicked by the greedy meatpacking industry and screwed over by the very legislators you sent to Washington, D.C. to go to bat for you, and they let you down. Let's be honest, they did. But enough is enough. Now, I know you guys know this, but there's some members of just the general public in here, and they're from South Dakota most likely, so chances are they know a farmer, or they know a rancher, they know a cattleman. But to those that aren't aware, and to those in the general public that aren't aware, imagine your entire livelihood being dictated by the bank, the weather, luck, and politicians. Yeah, American cowboys and cattlemen have never had it easy, but the last 2 to 3 years have been brutal. You guys know this, the cost to operate has skyrocketed while the price of cattle has plummeted. Most ranchers are struggling to feed their cattle and stay operational. It's a daily battle, and it's one you guys hardly complain about. But I'm here tonight to be your voice. I'm here tonight to tell you about the American cowboy and the American cattleman. Like my uncle Kent Lahren, who I really appreciate would stand up, because he's a big reason of why I'm here. Now, my Uncle Kent might be the purest soul that I know. He would not take a dime he did not earn, but he would give you the shirt off his back 100 times over, because that's the kind of person that he is. And that's the kind of person that you in this room are, because you're from the Midwest, you're from the heartland, you're cattlemen, you're ranchers, some of you are farmers. That's the kind of people that you are. That's the kind of people that I have in this room. That's the kind of people that raised me. Hard work raised me. The heartland raised me. My mom and dad, Trudy and Kevin, raised me. My grandparents, my grandpa Dietrich, my grandpa Lahren, my family that's all sitting there tonight, they raised me. And no, I don't live on a ranch anymore, but boy, I gotta tell you, I always have a soft space in my heart for those of you that do this every day, because I talk for a living and I can't imagine doing what you all do. I really can't. But if I can use my platform to speak out for you, I will do it 100 times over, and I will take all the heat, and I will take all the hate, and I will take all the backlash, and I will take on the NCBA, and I will take on all of them, because you deserve a voice, and RCAF is going to give it to you. I'm going to tell you something about my Uncle Kent that my dad shared with me, and I thought it was great because it's just a testament to what the American cattleman is. And I know that many of you in this room are the same way, but my Uncle Kent thanks each and every one of his cows before he sends them to the sale barn, because that's his life and that's his family and that's his livelihood. And it's that kind of love for what you do. It's the kind of love for your livestock. That's what separates the American cattlemen from the rest of the forgotten Americans. It's truly a great group of people to be in, and it's a group of people that you all are. And again, I'm so blessed to be around you. But it's the kind of a thing that people from coast to coast might not understand like we do here in South Dakota and North Dakota and Wyoming and Montana and Utah and Oklahoma and Kansas. We understand that, but there are folks in this country that don't. And it's time that we let them know, because they want to help you. I can guarantee you that they do. I've been all over this country, and I know for a fact that Americans want to help Americans. And we can do that. We can make a difference. And that's what RCAF is. And when I heard about RCAF, and when my Uncle Kent brought it to my attention, and my dad told me on the phone, hey, RCAF and Bill Bullard, they're really doing something here, but they need a little help. They need a voice. They need someone who's going to stick up for them. And I said, hey, I've got a little bit of a platform. Maybe I could do something. And my platform grew a little bit, and a little bit, and a little bit. And I was so blessed to have Bill Bullard on my show, and then Dr. Taylor Haynes on my show. And we showed the world what those raised in the heartland can do. And we showed the world what it means to be a cattleman, an independent cattleman. And we had a voice, and for once we had a voice, and we know we had a voice because the top dogs and the meat packers, they got scared. Yeah, they did. They got really scared. They got so scared they wrote about 10 to 15 articles slamming me, from everything to the color of my hair to the way I dress and everything that I say. And you know what that means? It means they're scared, because for once the independent cattlemen, they got a voice on the national stage, and I just brought that. I was just the host of that. But it's something that you guys do day in and day out, and I just speak to it. But it's what you're fighting for. It's what Bill Bullard is fighting for, and it's what RCAF is fighting for. And thank you so much for being a part of it. I know that membership has been up and down, but my goodness, if you guys can't all band together in a community, we don't have much hope. But when we band together and our voices get stronger, we can take on the meat packers. We can take on big business and big government and all the crap. We can take on the judges and the 9th Circuit Court and the 8th Circuit Court and all the circuit courts. We can take them on if we band together. We really can. So thank you for being a part of it. Now, the American cattleman is a proud breed, and you guys know that. They're not ones to ask for much, but what we do ask for and what you do ask for is you ask for a fair shake. And that's what I need the general public's help for. And that's what I'm here tonight to talk about, because you all know it. I'm preaching to the choir here, but maybe, if just maybe, we can get this message out to the American people, we're going to make a difference. And it's not just about talking about it and getting in a huff over it. It's about actually doing something, and there's such a logical thing we can do. And you all know this. In 2015, the country of origin labeling legislation was repealed. God knows why, but it was the Obama years, so there's your first indication of probably why. But country of origin labeling, that was repealed. And what a devastation it's had, and I don't care what the outside groups say. You guys know it because you feel it, and that's why you're members of RCAF. Labeling on our meat products, such a common sense thing that the average American from coast to coast should know about. But we've got foreign beef producers and the big meat packers. They were complaining, so your legislators, they folded. They folded for money, and they folded because of the lobbyists, and they folded because that's what they thought the popular thing to do was, because RCAF didn't have quite enough of a voice, and they kept getting stamped out, and your legislators, they folded on you, and at your expense. So this means that the meat that those in the general public are buying, you have no idea where it comes from. You know where your apples come from, you know where your oranges come from, you know where your bananas come from, but you don't know where your meat comes from. That should make all of those, even outside of the cattle industry, very, very nervous, because there's one thing that you don't want to mess with, it's your meat. And that's such a common sense thing, and that's why country of origin labeling is so important, and we need to get this message out there. We need all to be warriors. I can be a voice, and I have a platform, but it's about telling everybody, because believe it or not, there are people in Rapid City, South Dakota that shop at the local grocery store that have no idea. I was sitting at my home last night, and my cousin Sammy, she grew up in the same kind of family that I did, ranching family on both, on one side of her family, grew up with my grandparents being ranchers, and she had no idea. And I told her I'm here in Rapid City to do a speech because it's so important that we get country of origin labeling. And she lives in Rapid City, South Dakota, and she comes from the same family that I do, and she had no idea. And she sat back and she thought, that's true. We really don't know where our meat is coming from, and that's really scary. My dad works for Target Corporation. He has coworkers. He told me just the other day, he spoke to one of his coworkers and said, my daughter Tomi is coming to do a speech for RCAF talking about country of origin labeling because it's so important. And he explained to her, you don't know where your meat's coming from. And he said, watch when you grill it, when you fry it, when you're making tacos, you're making ground beef, that stuff that you're buying from Walmart, that stuff you're buying from the grocer, you don't know where it's from. And do you notice it just doesn't quite smell right? It doesn't quite look right? Something's a little weird about it. Have you ever noticed that? And she took a step back and she said, you know what, you're right. And just the word of mouth from my dad telling her that, an American that's not a cattle rancher, not a farmer, but an American consumer, went home and threw away her beef from the grocery store and said, I'm not feeding that crap to my family. And that's the kind of stories that each and every one of us need to go out and tell, because we can change the game. And we can say all you need to do is put a sticker on it to tell you where it was born, where it was raised, and that an American cattleman raised that you're eating. And the American consumer can decide. That's what the American public needs to understand, and that's the message I'm trying to get out there, is because you guys are not asking for much. You're asking for a fair shake. You know what you produce. You know how much time and attention you take to raise those animals, the care that you take into raising that beef. And you know it's the best, and you want your neighbors, and you want the hippies in California and the businessmen in Wall Street, you want them to know that an American cattleman raised that, because guess what? It doesn't matter if you vote red or you vote blue or you don't vote at all. You care what you eat. Americans care about that from coast to coast. It's about getting that message out, and country of origin labeling, that's the easiest battle we can fight, but it's going to be hard because it's an information war. And that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm so blessed to be here, because I'm blessed to have this platform, and I'm blessed to be able to speak out for the forgotten American. So I challenge you to ask your friends that aren't in this industry, and I challenge the general public that's here tonight to ask your friends, do you know where your meat's coming from? And if they say, oh yeah, it's got a label on it, it's USDA choice, whatever, you tell them, bullshit, you don't know where that's from. That sticker my ass. And you tell them, I'll tell you where that's coming from. It's coming from Argentina, it's coming from Canada, it's coming from Brazil, it's coming from Argentina and Japan. It's not coming from the American rancher like it used to. That means that their beef is transported in crates for God only knows how long. And animal lovers, that should mean something to them. Cattle smashed into shipping containers and shipped to this country to be slaughtered at a discount rate, all to enrich the top dog meat packers at the expense of the American rancher. Wow, isn't that something in 2017 that we're doing that? It's because the American people don't know. It's what it is. And I challenge you to ask your friends and your family members that live all over this country and people that you talk to on social media, I challenge you to ask them a serious question. Would you let your family eat out of the dumpster not knowing what's in it? Then why the hell would you let them eat sketchy beef from foreign countries? Ask them that. Because I guarantee you, no matter who they voted for, they're going to care because no one wants to pump their bodies full of antibiotics. I tell you, there's a lot of stuff that I didn't even know, and I was so blessed to have Dr. Taylor Haynes on my show back a few months ago, quite a few months ago, and I know that he's here tonight, so I'd appreciate it if he would stand up because he's a great warrior for this cause. So Dr. Taylor Haynes, if you're here, thank you so much. He was telling me on my show, and luckily we got it out to millions of Americans before my employer made me delete all those things. Lovely people, they really are. He was telling me the NFL, I mean, you guys, most of you are football fans, a lot of you are probably football fans, you have friends are. NFL cautioned their players not to eat beef from Mexico because there's hormones and antibiotics in there that they could test positive for steroids because they're eating crappy, sketchy Mexican beef. Now, if the NFL is telling its players to be careful of that beef, why would you feed it to your family members? Why would you feed it to your brothers and your sisters and your daughters and your husbands and your wives and anyone else that comes to your house? If the NFL is telling its players you might test positive for steroids, why do we have this meat sitting in our grocery stores and it's undiscernible from the stuff that you all grow and raise and produce? It's amazing to me, and it's all a messaging problem, but I think Dr. Taylor Haynes for getting that message out there because I was stunned and I was shocked. And like I said, I grew up in Rapid City, South Dakota from a family with ranchers on both sides, and I didn't know that. So there's a problem there. It's an education problem. So I'm going to put it out there, but I need all of you to do it as well. I don't just believe, I know the United States produces the best food, the best beef in the world, and every American has a right to know where it comes from. And hey, if they still want to eat that crap from foreign meat producers, they can go for it, but they should at least know where it comes from because we deserve that much. Listen, the American rancher has been squeezed, poked, and prodded by the greedy meatpacking industry. You guys know this. They control the market. They control the price. They buy cheap foreign beef, and your American ranchers are going under not because you can't compete in quality, but because you can't compete with the mystery meat that's brought over here from God knows where and sold at a discount rate, all to enrich the meat packers and not help the consumer out one damn bit. And that's the thing that other organizations are going to tell you. They're going to tell you, because I've done research into this, that, oh, country of origin labeling, it makes it more expensive for the consumer. No, not so. That just means that they can take the foreign beef and they can mark it up and they can make more money. And you all can be squeezed to death, and you all can have your price of cattle go down so the meat packers can make their price go up so they can buy cheap crap and put you out of business because it's what's best for them. But that's not what's best for you. That's not what's best for America. And that's not what's best for the consumer. And you all know that. But I'm hoping that the members of the general public will know that, understand it, and spread the word because it's so important to all of us. Like I said, it's not a partisan issue. American people deserve to eat America's best. And I ask people this, if the heartland and your heartland neighbors can raise enough beef to feed the United States and much of the world, why would we import it? So I ask the general public, next time you sit down to eat steak or a burger or a pot roast, remember the American cattlemen and ask your grocer, your butcher, your market, even the people that make your dog food, where that beef is from. And you demand that it's American beef, and you demand to know where it comes from. If communist China can dictate and know where their beef is coming from, why the hell can't we know in the United States of America? That's what I want to know. So what can you do? Well, you're all doing it. You do it day in and day out. You need a little help, though. But like I said, your legislators are letting you down. Your legislators that you elected that you thought would have your back, 300 of your representatives voted to repeal country of origin labeling. So let's start there. And we have slides so you can see all of their beautiful names and their phone numbers. And you can give them a call and you can say, why the hell did you do this to me and to my family and to South Dakota and North Dakota and Montana and Wyoming and Kansas and Oklahoma, all these people, what's wrong with you? Because we got a problem. And you can see their phone numbers and you call them up and you say, are your pockets lined by the meatpackers? Is that what this is? What's this about? I thought I elected you to do my bidding. I thought I elected you to represent the people of South Dakota, North Dakota, and Wyoming, and Montana, and Oklahoma, and Kansas, and Utah, and Idaho, and Texas. I thought I elected you to represent me. But these people on the screen, they're not. So that's the first thing you can do, is you can call them and you can say, why the hell are you not sticking up for me? Because that's what I elected you to do. Country of origin labeling is not just for the rancher, it's for the consumer. So I encourage you to take action, because the longer we just sit back and huff and puff about it, that's not going to make a little bit of difference. Calling these people and saying we need a change is. So I encourage you all to put your pressure on. Because Colorado, North Dakota, Wyoming, Kansas, Idaho, Montana, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Utah, your representatives have a problem, and you need to talk to them. Give them a phone call. I'm sure that they would love to hear from you, and you can tell them that Tomi Lahren sent you. Oh, and another thing, if the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, if they want to get into a pissing match about this and kick and scream and come after the folks of our calf, come on. Let's do it. Let's do it, because I know we challenged them to a debate. Bill Bullard challenged them to a debate, not in front of the meatpackers, not in front of a closed room, challenged them to a debate on my show, and it's going to be a new show very soon, bigger platform. And Bill Bullard said, hey, you want to come? Let's debate this. Let's have a debate. And you know what? Just didn't show up, guys. They just didn't want to do it. They didn't want to have that conversation. But I invite him anytime. You come and tell us. You got a thing, you got a voice, you want to talk about it? Let's go, let's debate it in front of the American people. And you can tell the American people that they don't deserve to know where their beef comes from, and we'll see how popular you are then. Because you can write all your articles, and you can have all the money, and you can have your offices, Pennsylvania Avenue, but the American people are the ones that are in the driver's seat right now, and President Donald J. Trump is in the driver's seat right now, and we've got a little bit more pull now. Happen to know President Donald J. Trump, had the opportunity to speak with him, and I can tell you this, he cares about you. He cares about you more than you even know that he cares about you. And I'm going to bring this to his attention, and we're going to make things change. Because enough is enough. Let the American people decide where they want to get their beef from. And in closing, I would just say to all the globalists, they want to have this globalized system where we all shear meat from Argentina. You can stay the hell out of American ranching business. You can stay the hell out of South Dakota, because we can handle this. And the people in this room, we can handle this. We can raise the best, and we're going to, and we're going to get the message out. So God bless you. God bless South Dakota. God bless our calf, and God bless America. Again, thank you guys so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.